You want to talk about food? I want to talk about food. Let's talk about food. what else are we going to do? We got nothing else to do. Let's go. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Nikki Talks Food. I am Nikki Pettineo, your host. This is a podcast where I talk about food, all things food related. Sometimes I have guests. This week, my guest is Felisha Nicholson from the FE-Nomenal cooking experience. So I'm excited for you guys to meet her and learn all about her. She is an extraordinary person. We're going to talk about such a hard, okay. It's such a hard word to say. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, and it's a really great chat. But first, I want to get to some food news about eggs. Breaking news. Okay, there's a lot on social media about this egg situation. I did a deep dive on the subject to just see if I could find out, some information for you guys. I'm seeing friends from all over the country post egg prices. Sometimes it's like $12 for a dozen, which is an extraordinarily high cost for eggs. I was just at Costco. I bought 18 eggs for $6.89, I think. They do limit your purchase amount. You're allowed to buy, I think, 3 containers. I bought 2 because I have a class coming up, and I need the eggs. But so far around town here in Tallahassee, there hasn't been like a grocery store shortage from what I can tell. But that's not to say, eggs are a perishable, and it's possible that at any moment, we could be in a situation where we don't have eggs. And that would greatly affect a lot of foods. So, I mean, that's going to affect your baked goods. It's a pretty, we use eggs for a lot because they're so magical. In baking, they're used as a leavener and also a binder. I mean, we eat them. I eat a lot of eggs because I do low carbs. So that's like one of the main things that I eat. It's a hot topic right now. I get a little annoyed when I see goobers like posting, "Oh, I broke an egg. The insurance adjuster will be right over." Like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, don't be a goober about it. I don't want to cause panic. We don't want to cause any kind of like bad feelings around this situation. I have some good news. I'm going to get to all that. And so let's do our deep dive on eggs. So I was reading that Denny's and Waffle House are adding an egg surcharge. Waffle House, I don't know the cost that they're adding. No, sorry. Denny's, I don't know the cost that they're adding per egg, but they're adding 50 cents as an egg surcharge, which is, they could add the surcharge. They could take it off later. But 9 times out of 10, my feeling is, having been on this planet for 46 years, is that once they get you used to the cost of something, it is very hard to walk it back. In other words, when we had the COVID outbreak, they had to halt production at farms, chicken farms, because you couldn't have people close together on a production line and then they're stepping over each other while they're passing out from fever and everything. You can't have that. So they had to shut them down for a certain amount of time in order to prevent the further spread. And so obviously that was going to have an impact on grocery prices, and it did. And the grocery prices got higher. But then when things came back to kind of like a normal status, the prices stayed high, and grocery stores and grocery chains were reporting record amounts of profits. So the person, I think I reported months ago before the new administration that, oh man, let me find it. Okay. All right. So I reported, what day was this? April 12th, 2024. 2024. So this was back in August. I reported that the Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena M. Khan announced on August 1st that the commission will be launching an inquiry into grocery prices to shed light on why it is that the prices and profits remain high even as costs appear to come down to lower. So, I don't know if this person is still the chair of the FTC. I think they were trying to get rid of her. Let's look her up real quick. Let's see, is she here? Oh, she's gone. Lena M. Khan served as chair of the Federal Trade Commission from June 15th, 2021 to January 20th, 2025. So she got the boot as soon as Trump came into office. And now who is the new chair of the Federal Trade Commission? Andrew N. Ferguson. So let's see this guy's who the hell is this guy? Okay, so before becoming the FTC chair, Andrew N. Ferguson was the Solicitor General of Virginia. He was also the chief counsel to Mitch McConnell. Okay, well, there you go. So previously we had a person that was the chair of the FTC, and she was looking into why the math wasn't mathing. When you look at grocery prices, you have to look at what happened. Okay, so what happened was we had a pandemic. The pandemic caused the world to shut down. You can't shut down the world without having financial impact happening. But at a certain point, things got back to normal and costs should have came down. But it was as though grocery chains were like, haha, suckers, this is the new normal. And so we got used to that. And we had somebody in charge of the FTC that was looking into it, was launching an investigation. Hey, show me your numbers. She was calling companies to the carpet, and now that's no longer happening. So that's kind of like an offshoot of what I'm talking about here. My point in that was that once companies get you used to paying a new premium for something, they're going to usually keep it at that cost and be like, this is the new normal. So my point is that, like, Denny's and Waffle House are adding this 50-cent surcharge per egg. My guess, I don't know. I'm not an actual real reporter or anything, just a weirdo with a podcast, and I didn't call them for comment or anything, but I'm sure they're probably saying, oh, once this egg, the bird flu goes away and the shortage of eggs is no longer happening, we will change the prices back. But if I was a betting person, I would say that ain't gonna happen. Cracker Barrel, however, has so far not added a surcharge, and their CEO is saying that's not very hospitable. So that's their stance on whether or not they're going to add a surcharge. So I was doing a deep dive, and I'm like, what's the prognosis here? When will it end? So I found a February 21st article from Reuters. And that article states that egg farmers are urging the USDA to approve the use of a vaccine to protect laying. Sorry. I need to calm down. I need to mellow out, and I need to put my bionic reading on. Bionic reading is a filter that I put on documents so that it makes it easier for people with ADHD to read. Because we can't read. And the reason why is because our brains are just wired differently. So the filter, it darkens the first couple letters of words so that you can read it better. So we can read good. Because, this is for kids that can't read good. Like me, I'm a kid that can't read good. All right, so I was saying that a February 21st Reuters article stated that egg farmers are urging the USDA to approve the use of a vaccine to protect laying hens from the virus. The agency has resisted vaccines in the past over concerns that their use will disrupt U.S. exports of poultry products, including chicken meat, to importers. So in other words, if we start using vaccines, it could affect the possibility of us being able to export, the U.S. meaning the U.S., to export chicken to other countries because they're like, nah, it's got drugs in it. So that's one possibility. They have temporarily approved to stockpile a vaccine by a company. That company is called So the USDA said it's rebuilding a stockpile of vaccines and granted a conditional license to the animal health company Zoetis, Zoetis. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Zoetis. So that's a possibility. The other possibility that I found, which seems like, I'm pretty sure if I was a betting person, I would definitely bet on this one happening. So the National Chicken Council, yes, it exists. I I found it in my research. I feel like a trad wife researching chemicals in food. So I'm hot on the case, baby. Me and my bachelor's degree in food and beverage. Okay, so the National Chicken Council sent a letter. They sent out a formal request to the acting FDA commissioner, Dr. Sarah Brenner. And the request is that they respectfully request that the Food and Drug Administration immediately exercise it. This is directly from the letter. Immediately exercise its enforcement discretion to allow surplus broiler eggs to be processed into egg products under the United States Department of Agriculture, Food Safety, and Inspection Services jurisdiction. So what that means is, there's different types of chicken. There's broiler chickens, fryers, roasters, stewing chickens, capons. There's all kinds of different types of chickens. Apparently, the broiler chicken producers are, from a 2009 law, have to destroy eggs that are not used for breeding. So they're just breeding the chickens for meat. They're not breeding it for eggs. So they have a surplus of, I'm going to say 400 million eggs that they destroy, and they have to do it by law. But these otherwise would be good eggs. And, some of the things that, we get in the store, we get a dozen eggs. But a lot of eggs are cracked open and processed, and they're pasteurized, and we use them, in bakeries. We can get. I wish I can get this from the store. I love use a pint. So you can get cases of pints of pasteurized egg yolks, which are super great for when you're making custards and stuff, because it's already pasteurized and it's like it's already separated. You don't have to separate anything. There's no waste. You just open that sucker, that little pint, and pour it. So my guess would be that those eggs from the broiler chickens, which would be perfectly good, and there is a surplus of, would just move over to the eggs that were, because there may be odd sizes and things like that. They would move over to the production where they're cracked open, and the whites are used for egg whites, in quart containers, and they're pasteurized. So if I was a betting person, I would say the person with the magic, what is that thing, Sharpie marker that has been going at lightning speed and making all these just sweeping decisions, I would say that person is that person is a populist. And egg prices putting a Band-Aid on or fixing egg prices immediately would be in that person's interest and would look really good for that person. So I would say if that guy gets a whiff of this letter that was drafted, when was this letter written? Let's look. I feel like Joe Rogan, where he's like, "Oh, Jamie, bring up the cartoon of the whatever." He's such a. When was it written? I have literally have here the PDF of this letter from the National Chicken Council, February 20th. So today is the 25th. Today's 25th. Oh my God. Okay, so that's 5 days ago. So 5 days ago, well, looks like 5 days ago, one arm of the chicken folks were asking for a vaccine. The other arm is asking for, which this is the council, so I would imagine this is an actual plan in place. The National Chicken Council 5 days ago said we're throwing eggs away, and the reason why they are mandated to throw those eggs away is to keep, as we know. They don't want to flood the market. Like at certain points, they actually pour milk down the drains because they don't want the cost of milk to go so low that the farmers don't make any money. So they literally just destroy it because they have no use for it. Same thing with these eggs. They're just destroyed. So that's a little part of agriculture. So if I had to guess, that would be this egg issue is such a hot topic. and it is a barometer of how well the new administration is doing. And so I would imagine that I wouldn't worry too much. I think that it's going to be fine. But again, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just a weirdo with a podcast. I'm not anybody, but this is a little bit of information that I found. So what I am an expert on is what you would use instead of eggs. So, I wanted to go over different types of chickens. So you have broiler chickens. They're 6 to 8 weeks old, and they weigh about 2.5 pounds. Fryer chickens, they're 6 to 8 weeks old, and they weigh about 2.5 to 3.5 pounds. So it's a bigger chicken. Roasters, less than 8 months old, and they're 3.5 to 5 pounds. That's a big bird you throw in your oven, right? You don't want to fry a big bird because it can take too long. Stewing chickens, they're old, over 10 months old. They weigh 5 to 7 pounds. And then capons are castrated males, and they weigh 6 to 8 pounds. And some people like to make stock out of capons because they are it's a hardier bone because it's a male chicken. And then you have cocks / roosters, which are male chickens over 10 months old, weighing 6 to 8 pounds. So what to use instead of eggs? I just posted a recipe on my website, chefnikki.net. That's Nikki with 2 Ks. And the recipe is it's magnifique. Right now it's citrus season. Cara oranges are in season right now. I get them at Costco. They're freaking amazing. But I made this recipe for cast iron orange dream cake, and I love it. It's so dreamy. But I used chia seeds instead of eggs because chia seeds, well, eggs, first of all, react with non-reactive cooking metals, right? Sorry, they react with reactive, right? Okay, they react, non-reactive, okay. Let me start over. A non-reactive piece of cookware would be like stainless steel. Stainless steel is non-reactive. So if I cook eggs for a long period of time in stainless steel, the egg is not going to turn green. But if I hold eggs in something that is aluminum, I'm talking about if I make scrambled eggs and I put it in an aluminum pan and I hold them in the pan for 45 minutes, they're going to turn green or gray, right? Same thing with cast iron. Cast iron is reactive. It will react with milk, and it takes a long time for it to react with milk, but it will react with eggs. So because that cake baked, it was a huge cake, it baked for an hour, I was like, I really want to make the orange in this cake, the color pop. So I don't want it to turn any kind of green. So I use chia seeds in the recipe as an egg replacer. And it's pretty simple. It's a tablespoon of chia seeds. You mix it with 3 tablespoons of water. So it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. And just let it set, like just put it on your counter while you're doing other stuff. Let it sit there for like 10, 15 minutes and it'll gel up. And once it's gelled up, you can use it as an egg replacer in your baked goods. So if you're baking, and it gives a little crunch, gives a little texture. And I love crunch and texture and like that little bit of like a nutty taste. It's good. It's actually really good in chocolate chip cookies too. Like it's really great in baked goods. It makes it easy to change things to vegan. So if I was making that cake that I made vegan, I would just use vegan butter, plant-based butter, and I would use there's sour cream. I would use a plant-based sour cream, and boom, there's my vegan cake. So it makes it pretty easy when you use the chia seeds. So that's a good option for baked goods. Other options, if you need eggs, nothing replace. I mean, there's nothing that's going to replace a fried egg. Like you're just going to have to eat a different protein. But if you're trying to use it as like an egg wash, I've never tried to egg wash using an egg replacer. You can use milk as egg wash. It's going to turn your your breads and things like that a little bit darker. But you can use if you're using like an egg wash to bread, let's say a piece of chicken, you can use an egg replacer. You can use buttermilk. You can use it. You don't have to have. You can just use plain old water too. Well, maybe not just plain old water. I would use buttermilk. Buttermilk's a great substitute for your helping breading stick. So that's my spiel on eggs. I went down a little rabbit hole. I found out some stuff. I think, in my opinion, that it sounds like a really good option is for those broiler chicken eggs to go out into stop being destroyed. And the thing with chickens is the gestation period is very short, and the time it takes for them to get to maturity is very short. So it's not like we gotta wait. It's not an elephant where it's pregnant for 2 years. So hang in there. The egg crisis, I'm gonna imagine, will be over soon. And then also, we'll just be on to the next thing. Now it's time for my interview with Chef Felisha. Please enjoy. All right, everybody. My guest today is a phenomenal entrepreneur here in Tallahassee, Florida. Chef Fee is a cookbook author and owner of the FE-Nomenal cooking experience. Thank you, Chef, for joining me on the pod. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and chat with me.
Yes, what up, Chef Nikki?
Yeah, just two chefs hanging out, you know,
That's right.
griping about how our feet hurt. You know?
That part.
Do you have
Always
like
hurting.
a brand of shoes that you're like, I gotta wear these?
I don't really have a specific brand. I do have a pair of some Skechers that I have been really, really great to my feet.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I go through them a lot. I go through shoes a lot. Because
Yeah.
the soles just kind of start wearing over time because you're just on your feet so much.
Yes.
Um, but particular brand, no, I probably just go through whatever just looks good, feels comfortable at the time, and then I just hope and pray that it
Yeah.
lasts longer than a month.
Yeah, and then they get some miles on them, and then we
Yes,
chuck them out. You know.
exactly. How about you?
Oh my God, I have been wearing. So I'm pretty sure my feet have molded to this particular brand of shoe because I've been wearing them since culinary school,
Okay.
and so that's like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clogs with a K.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure my feet, like I've tried to wear other shoes, but my feet hurt so bad, like that I'm pretty sure my feet have just like molded to this. You know, they don't sponsor me or anything, but they're you can beat them up pretty good, and they're pretty
Yeah.
okay. You know, I've had the same pair for a long time, but also I'm a big fan of compression socks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
And you know what? Like whatever, I don't care. Like I like at this point, you know, I don't care if it's like, oh, you're wearing compression socks,
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm like,
It's not about
dude,
fashion at
it's
this
not
point.
about fashion. I'm just trying
It's
to hold my legs together, dude.
exactly, exactly, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So like really honestly, that's like the best advice I could give to people is like this guy told me one time, put put good things between you and the earth. So like good
Mm,
shoes, a good bed, good tires for
I
your
like that.
vehicle, you know? And so
I like
I've tried to like I try to like live by that, you know, but
yeah.
yeah, so you know,
That makes sense. Your feet hold you up.
they
They
hold you
keep
up all
they
day.
literally keep you grounded.
Yeah.
So
And if
yeah,
you're
that makes
like
sense.
starting out in the culinary industry and you're getting like I mean your legs wear out. So when I do like consulting sometimes you know these guys try to wear slides in the
Hmm.
kitchen. I'm like, you understand? Do you understand how much energy your feet are you're giving to your feet to try and keep you standing up
Exactly.
like by using
Exactly.
these stupid slides? You
Hmm.
know, like if you just put non-slip shoes on, you'll stay in one place and then the energy goes to the rest of your body. Like it's like
Correct.
simple, you know what I
Correct.
mean?
Correct.
So
But I
so
just find that nothing else I wear is as comfortable. Like sometimes I will just leave the house in my work shoes and just like for just
yeah,
casual things, going to the movies or whatever,
yeah.
because they're just comfortable to me at this point. It's very difficult to like I have Nike Air Maxes and everything
Uh-huh.
else, but when I wear them, I'm not as comfortable. And
Yeah.
it's because like you said, your feet kind of get accustomed to wearing a certain type of shoe and having
Mm-hmm.
that support. So when you veer from that, then your feet are like, screw you.
Yeah. I mean it's just like honestly I feel like it's part of like the food culture. Like I just feel like
Right.
that's part of like just being a chef, being on your feet. You're just like you're very very particular about how you want your feet to feel even on your day off. You're like I don't want
Yeah.
to sit here with achy feet. So yeah, whatever we can
I
do
don't
to
have to.
prevent that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's how I feel too.
most
Um
definitely.
so from what I understand you were raised in the food and beverage industry, and I'm just like so curious about like growing up if I'm correct about that. So You were
Yeah.
raised by restaurateurs, or talk a little bit about that, and then I have like a million follow-up questions.
Yeah, so literally, I've lived my life surrounded by food. Food was definitely a part of just my family life in general, part of our culture, a part of just the things that we did day to day. Like Sunday family dinners were just really, really big. My father had a farm. We picked the peas. We
Wow.
shelled the peas. We ate the peas for Sunday dinner. You know what I mean? Like I was definitely a part of that the food industry all of my life. And then my father was a barbecue restaurant owner. So Gertie's Barbecue that used to be here in Tallahassee, Florida, off of Crawfordville Highway,
Uh-huh.
like you're headed towards the coast.
Hmm.
He used to own that, and he, had everything you name it. Briskets, pulled pork, just whatever. He had it, he smoked it, and sold it at his barbecue restaurant. And he did that for many, 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 many years.
Hmm.
And then up until recently, he was still smoking barbecue. My father, a few years back, had a couple of strokes.
Hmm.
And so now he's unable to do that, unable to do a lot of things. But he's getting better. He's
Oh,
functioning
good.
day to day.
Yeah.
And we're actually his caregivers, my husband and I, and then my siblings help out as well. But now my brother has taken over that, and my brother does a lot of the smoking, and we've joined that into my business. So a lot of
Oh,
the
that's
barbecue
awesome.
things that you see within the catering business
Yeah.
is my brother doing the smoking.
Oh, cool. So, and then your sister does the cheesecakes,
Oh my
right?
gosh, yes. So my sister, Cheesecakes by Sylvia. So
Yeah.
she does, oh my goodness, all things cheesecakes, cheesecake shooters, cheesecake, big cheesecakes, small cheesecakes. She also sells the cheesecakes through Joe Ellen's, downtown
What's
in
Joe
Clayman
Ellen's?
Plaza.
Oh, it's a
Joe
restaurant, right?
Ellen's, it's
Yeah.
right near Harry's in that same Clayman Plaza.
Uh-huh.
So she sells her cheesecakes there as well. But yeah, she sells cheesecake. She's an excellent cheesecake
Yeah.
creator. She anything you can think of, she's done in a form of a
Well,
cheesecake.
that brings me to one of the most innovative things I've seen in a while was your collaboration, you and your sister, with the savory cheesecake. And I was like,
Yes.
this is the path, man. Like
Yeah.
that is, first of all, it's so clever. Second of all, when like people lose their mind over cheesecake, and then when you
Yes.
add the savory element to it, it's like, oh, you mean I can have cheesecake for lunch? Like,
Exactly. And for some people it's hard for them to fathom it. It's hard for them to
hmm,
kind of think of a cheesecake not being sweet. But literally it's cream cheese, guys. Like you
yeah,
think of it as like a dip, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it was just a great way for my sister and I to really join forces.
yeah.
Because listen, I don't bake. I cannot stand
Oh,
baking.
really?
I cannot stand baking.
Yeah.
But my sister loves to bake, and so does my mom. So I love to cook. So the
Hmm.
theory was like, okay, let's come up with some savory cheesecakes where I can put a little twist on them, and then she can add her bacon element to it. And so we our first cheesecake that we thought of was the South Got Something to Say. So a play on
Yeah.
Outcast. And so it had a cornbread crust.
Uh,
Um,
forget
a
it.
yeah, yeah.
That's
The
talk slower,
cheesecake
girl.
itself, right, right. The cheesecake itself
Cornbread
has
crust. Hold
like
on.
right,
That is
exactly.
that's really
Yes.
clever. Like,
Cornbread
sorry. So
crust.
cornbread crust. Then
Yes.
okay, then go on.
So instead of graham crackers, it's
Yeah,
just a layer of cornbread, right? And then
insane.
inside the cheesecake itself is a collard green pesto. So
Oh my
I would
god.
literally make the pesto
Yeah,
like like a normal pesto, but I would use collard greens instead.
yeah.
So I would use the collard green pesto, has smoked gouda in it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's just a really cool element for a cheesecake. And
Hmm.
we did a pop up recently at the prepared table, and it went
Hmm.
really, really well. And we featured three different savory cheesecakes. So it's very, 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 very fun to come up with different things with her and just to figure out ways that we can combine and collaborate.
Do you guys get along really well?
We do. Listen,
Yeah.
I get along with my siblings very, very, very well.
That's
I always
amazing.
have. Yeah, we're really close. And my sister and I are 12 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister and I are 12 years apart. So of course, growing up, she's big sis, like another mother
Uh-huh.
essentially.
Yeah.
But then as I've gotten older, we've become almost the best of friends. Like we're
Uh
really, really close and do a lot of things together. So that's just a way that we bond is through the phenomenal experience too.
yeah. That's that's
Yeah.
that's really great that you have your family around, and even like
Yeah.
your husband, he's works with you
He
too, and
does. He
it's
does.
just that's just so nice, like that
Yeah.
you, but like, so growing up like around food and your dad having the restaurant stuff? Like, did you work in the restaurant? Was it like, were you like, oh, we don't have a regular like nine, my mom and dad don't have a regular 9 to 5 job? Like, what was the, what was the that kind of culture for you growing up?
So my dad was like a serial entrepreneur. So the barbecue restaurant wasn't the only business that he had. So
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I definitely saw a lot of like entrepreneurial things within both of my parents. So my mom too, she owned Kumar Mather Reading Center here for years.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so the entrepreneur thing I saw firsthand. But yes, I definitely worked in all of their businesses in
Yeah.
some capacity. I was more so voluntold for Gertie's.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm
Let's
saying. That's
start.
my
Yeah,
point. That's my
yeah,
point, is like you were there freaking
yeah,
filling the
yeah,
ketchups,
yeah. Definitely
wiping
was
the
there out of
tables.
obligation at
Uh-huh.
first, and but the more that I did it, the more that I enjoyed it, and
Mm-hmm.
actually, that was another way to kind of be around family and to really learn the business. A lot of the things that I know about business came from that experience,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, as children, as teenagers, we don't want to do things, that may be outside of what we have going on at the moment. But a lot of times those things that we end up doing play a major role in our future eventually.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
yeah.
there's kids that, I mean, when I taught culinary school, I would be in shock of the learned helplessness
Yeah.
of people. They're like, oh, I don't know how to, and like, what? These are like basic motor skills, you know? Um, but, somebody who's having to fill ketchups, white tables,
Hmm.
like have a responsibility, like move your arms,
Yeah. Yeah.
you become,
Yeah.
your motor skills are developed at a very young
Exactly.
age.
And you're
You're able,
not lazy.
yeah,
It may not be things you don't want to do, but you're not lazy.
you're not lazy. Your critical
Yeah,
thinking is
exactly.
firing because you're like, oh, I gotta stack all the to-go boxes because if I don't, XYZ is gonna happen, and you know what I mean. So your critical
Exactly.
thinking skills and thinking ahead, it's almost like solving puzzles all day long, and so it makes your brain develop like at a lightning speed. I feel, you know.
Exactly.
So
And you understand the business ethic. There's always something to do. There's always something that you could be doing to make the
mhm.
business better, make whatever's going on better at the time.
Yeah, got time lean. You got time to lean. You got time to clean.
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. So, does he have like a secret barbecue sauce or anything, or like anything you want to like? I'm always into like bottling stuff and like, is there something that you would want to like, of his that you would want to like bottle or jar or a spice or something like that?
Let's see. Maybe okay. Well, I can't give the secrets away because my brother
Oh
utilizes
no, you
a
can't
lot
give
of
can't give
it.
it away, but
Yeah,
you could sell it.
but my brother does an excellent rub on his
Mm-hmm.
on the briskets, and I mean, it's like it's money. People absolutely love it. So I
Yeah,
think if we were to ever do anything, it
it'd
would
be
be
that.
a barbecue rub,
Yeah,
for those briskets. Outside of that, yep, he did his own barbecue sauce. All of that, yep, that could be bottled too.
yeah.
I don't that they might be onto
I'm just
something.
saying.
You might be onto something,
I'm just
yeah.
saying. You're already a cookbook author, so.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And it's beautiful. The cookbook is beautiful. The pictures are
Thank
beautiful.
you.
And
Thank
Your
you.
husband, did
Yes,
the photography for it. Do you have a
did.
copy handy that we can?
I I
Oh,
do.
it's in a
I
box.
do.
Is it in a
No.
box? Oh,
Oh,
you
you
have
know
it.
what? It is in a box. It is in a
Okay,
box. I
I'll
packed
I'll
up the
I'll put a
kitchen already.
picture. I'll put a picture up when we
Yeah, just pretend it's there.
Yeah, we'll
I
pretend.
do have my cover though. Hold on. Let me
Okay,
see if I can
cool.
find it. It might be too big to show.
It's okay. There she is.
Yeah, it's huge. It
Oh my
is
god.
huge. I can show it.
When you said too big, I was like, nah, it's gonna be fine.
No, it's absolutely huge. I don't even know if I can
Yeah, I love
get
it.
it like
So
that. Yeah.
bring that to signings and stuff. So, okay,
Uh,
so the title of the book is called what?
it's called Cooking with Fee.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a little fun little spin. The cookbook idea was just to create a tool for families to be able to enjoy meals that are not overly complicated to make, but are so full of flavor. And I really enjoyed it. It encompasses a lot of who I think I am,
Yeah,
as a cook,
yeah,
as a chef, because I love to cook all types of things. I'm not um I'm not zoned into one specific type of cuisine. I
Hmm.
literally do a lot of different things. And so that book encompasses that. It's a lot of different cultures and food types
Yeah.
in the cookbook for people to enjoy.
One of the worst questions people ask a chef is, "What kind of food do you cook?" Because
Oh
we cook
gosh,
everything. Like
everything.
what do you think? I just cook like
Yeah,
what is it?
everything.
Yeah. Oh, I only do meatloaf.
Yeah,
Like what?
everything.
It's
Or
like
and I guess what do you enjoy? Even the what do I enjoy cooking too?
yeah,
Because sometimes I'm like, I enjoy cooking a lot of
yeah.
stuff.
What's
So
selling?
right,
You
I
know,
can yeah,
I
yeah,
cook.
I
You
can.
know, like for instance, your catering. You have a catering business,
Hmm.
Phenomenal Catering. Um, you know, if your catering client is wanting chicken tikka masala, guess what? That's what you're
You can
making.
chicken.
You
That's
know
what they
what I mean?
get.
You're gonna you do
Yeah,
your own spin on tikka masala, and so like,
exactly.
so the question is always like, when people ask chefs, they're like, what kind of food do you cook? It's like us, what don't I
Yeah,
cook? But we gotta say you
exactly.
gotta say something. So I always just say I do
Yeah.
modern French,
Mhm.
which is what we all do.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
it's what it is. So, uh, so so we got the cookbook.
Yes.
It's an awesome resource. Where can people
Thank you.
find the cookbook?
Oh my goodness, a little bit of everywhere. So it's on
Oh, really?
Amazon.
Oh,
So if you
nice.
just type "cooking with Fee" in the search engine on Amazon, it'll pop up. We have it in a few stores here in Tallahassee. It's at Midtown Reader. It's at the Prepared Table as well as Brown's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. It's a like I said, it's a beautiful book, and
Thank
it's
you.
just stunning and wonderful that E was able to do the pictures for it, and it's just like full on family, what they like vertical integration into like
Yes.
a product, and so
Yeah.
I think that is just so cool, and it's going to be core memories for like you guys forever, so it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was definitely a project of love and, of course, time, but there was so much love and so much
Yeah.
energy that went into this cookbook, and every picture that he did, there was so much effort and
Hmm.
just focus and attention to detail, and I'm just extremely proud of him for what he's done. He's really excited to see it all come together
Yeah.
in book form, and it's amazing to have
Yeah.
my husband, my family, everybody just really, really supporting me in the capacities that they can. And it just means the world to me, the absolute
Yeah.
world to me.
It's awesome. So you mentioned that your mom owned Kumon, which is
Yes,
math and learning, but I know that you also have a background in education too. So it's
I
almost
do.
like you're like 50-50 mom and dad here. So you
I
got
am
the cooking from
exactly
dad.
50.
That's wild.
Yes, yes. So my mom was an educator here in Leon County Schools for many years.
Hmm.
She was an administrator, as of course a teacher, but she was an administrator for her latter 6 years in the education field. And then she went on and opened up her own math and reading center here at Kumon,
Hmm.
that she eventually sold. It's still here. The center is still here, but it just has a different owner. Definitely followed in her footsteps
Yeah.
too. I tried to resist and do everything besides education, honestly. I was going to be a psychologist at one point. I was going to be a
Really.
judge at some point, all the things, but it just pulled me right back to education. And so I taught in Leon County schools at both Rudiger and Sealy Elementary for 7 years. And then I went out to the district office for 7 years and was the elementary math specialist for the district.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal. So and you were working as the math specialist for
Yes.
elementary math, right?
Yes.
And then you talk to me about or if you would tell the listeners like how you went from a job with, it was at the county or the state,
It was the
the
county. I worked for
county,
Leon County schools. Yeah.
to fully being immersed in your own business, and like what that leap was like.
Yeah, yeah. So you can kind of blame COVID for a part of that.
Oh, true.
Of course, cooking has always, like I said, been a part of my life. It's been
Yeah.
something that I've absolutely enjoyed. I've never stopped cooking. I've always been cooking.
Hmm.
However, in 2020, I had this idea of a concept that I really wanted to bring to light. And I spoke to E about it. E was on board with it. And I wanted to provide private dining experiences for people in their homes who
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get out during COVID and really enjoy themselves out at restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
especially for special occasions. And so, honestly, that's how it launched. That's how it started. So I started off with that idea. I built a clientele through those private dining experiences. We would come in home, cook, plate, tablescape. E would do photography if it was for special events, things like that. Really built a portfolio, built a clientele from there, and then from there it turned into catering,
Yeah.
and then from catering it turned into cooking classes
Mm-hmm.
and cooking camps for children, and then of course eventually publishing my own cookbook. But within that progression, I was still working in the beginning of that full time with Leon County Schools, as well as, remember I told you my father got sick.
Yes.
So, as well as becoming a caregiver. So, I was handling those three things, and it
Uh-huh.
became so much. And so I
Right.
had to lean more into, okay, for you, what is your passion? What makes you happy? What makes you fulfilled? You need to chase that instead of trying to do so much of everything. And so I decided to walk away from Leon County Schools. I took a leave of absence initially. So I took a leave of absence for a year. And then it wasn't even a year, like 9 months into it, I was like, I'm good. And I
Wow.
just kept going. So it was definitely a leap of faith, grace of God.
Yeah.
But it has been absolutely amazing. And I'm just grateful for this experience.
Those are like big words. Like that's like a powerful thing of like do what makes you happy
Yes.
and what guides you and what you're passionate about. Because it's funny, my wife and I have this discussion all the time because I didn't go to college right after. I was a terrible student. I didn't go to college. I mean, I did go to college. I flunked out. And then I was working in food and beverage restaurants, and then I went to culinary school. I did well, and then
Yeah.
I've been doing that ever since. But there was like a gap in time where I was just like partying and whatever, and I wasn't really focused. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. And she like went right to college, law school, like all this stuff, and like uh you know, I'm always like jealous of the way things shook out for her because I'm like, oh man, you just did it the way that you're supposed to do it, because it's always been
Hmm.
kind of a thing with that makes me feel guilty. You know what I mean? It's weird
Yeah.
when you're not like a school person and
Yeah.
I have like severe
I know
ADHD and
exactly what you mean.
everything.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like I feel guilty about it and a little shame or whatever. But then she's
Mhm.
like, but you're doing what you really love to do. She's
Exactly.
like,
And what
I'm
you're
jealous
supposed
of
to do.
you because I'm reading papers all day. I'm reading like cases and
Yeah.
stuff like that. She's like, it's boring.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what makes your dynamic of your
Mhm.
marriage work. And the
Yeah.
same for mine and Emmanuel's, because Emmanuel says the same thing about me. He loves the fact that I was free spirited enough to say, hey, I'm going to leave my very secure full-time job where I was getting a guaranteed salary
Yeah.
to take this leap of faith. But then also I appreciate his groundedness and his willingness to stay and do what he's doing, and really be engulfed in that, among other things, because of course he's doing photography and
Hmm.
he's done podcasting as well.
Yeah.
So, but again, two different paths, two different stories, but there are stories, right? And you are
Yeah.
where you're supposed to be, and you're doing an amazing job at what you're doing. Like, you are an inspiration, Chef Nikki.
Thanks. I just put one foot in front of the other and I just go, okay, what kind of mayhem can I get into? And,
Right,
you
but
know,
it works.
yeah, it works. It
It works.
works. We can't all be ambulance,
That's right.
EMTs. So,
That's right.
so some of us have to make bacon and, smiles.
But we have to feed them, right? We have to feed them. They have
Exactly.
to eat.
Exactly. Got to feed them. So that's
Right.
exactly right. So that was a big, big jump for you. And like the, the, the way you did it was really smart because you're able to kind of like, take a leave of absence, kind of have like a little bit of a soft landing. And so I really, really, I mean, there's definitely some calculated planning in there. as well. Although, at first glance, you're like, oh man, you just quit your job and you just went and did this. But there's some calculated planning that went into that. And
Yeah.
so there's the math right there for you,
Definitely.
the math brain.
Definitely. Definitely. It was definitely calculated and thought out. I was very intentional through it all. And we had a lot of conversations, my husband and I, about it through that process. And
Yeah.
again, I used that time during COVID where I wasn't out and about doing a whole lot of stuff to really
Hmm.
develop myself and really try to build a portfolio. And honestly, a lot of my first customers were relatives.
Yeah.
I started building my portfolio through them and my work through them. So, do y'all want to have a private dinner? Sure, come on over, cook for me,
Yeah.
and then take pictures there and really start, developing your work there. So it was definitely calculated and intentional.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just kind of took off, and that's been a blessing.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're amazing. Would you open a restaurant? Like, is that something that's on your is, is that something on your radar, or like, what do you
You know,
think?
that's a question that I get asked a lot. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I'll say this. I won't say what I'll never do. Like I'm not gonna say I won't ever open a
Yeah.
restaurant. It is not in my plans to open one.
Mhm.
I for a while did the brunches out at Summerbrook. And we did that for 4 months there, and that
Mhm.
was a fun experience. It was enjoyable to kind of, have a staff work in front of the house, back of the house, things
Yeah.
like that, and just kind of be in control of over all of that. But it's one thing to do that, but having a brick and mortar restaurant in these days and times is very, very difficult. And it's not something I would advise anybody just to jump into.
Mhm.
And the kind of um, restaurant culture we have here in Tallahassee and the
Mhm.
support that it gets. Like a lot of times, of course, when it's new, everybody wants to support you. Everybody wants to come out and enjoy it. But over time, it just kind of starts weaning off. And
Yeah.
so, you have to be strategic. And I think if you're not bringing something very different, very unique to the table,
Mhm.
it's very easy for you to kind of get lost in the sauce of it all. I don't think my plan is not to open a restaurant,
Mhm.
but there are plans to do something that I think would intertwine a lot of the interests that people have of me with
Yeah.
opening a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look forward to whatever it is. Like, I mean, those savory cheesecakes were. I mean, I didn't get a chance to try them, but I mean, when I saw
We'll
that,
do it again.
I was like, this is something that would, be like, oh, I'm going to Tallahassee specifically to have this interesting food
Yeah.
because it's unlike anything that I've ever seen.
Hmm.
So that's well, we'll have to see what you she's playing it close to the vest, and one day we'll see what happens.
That's right. That's
But
right.
the pop-ups they look really interesting and unique and stuff. So I hope you keep doing that until you
Yeah.
open your
Yeah.
whatever's gonna be open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something's definitely coming.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it and planning, but again, it's calculated. We have to be intentional and making
Yeah.
sure that it's right before it is put out there. But I'm really, really excited about what we've discussed. But it'll still be all in the family, and
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So
Very cool. What advice would you give someone who's considering changing career paths? And I know we kind of talked about follow your passion and everything, but I don't know if there's anything we kind of any stone we left unturned. What you would tell somebody who was in kind of like who's wavering on like what should I do? I'm unhappy here, but I want to
yeah,
do this.
that's a good question. A few things actually. I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back with the what ifs and the hesitancy of doing things that we're really really passionate about. And I would say go for it. Go ahead and do it. But of course, think about it. Think about how you're gonna go about doing it, and actually put a lot of thought and intention behind it. Of course, just
Mhm.
don't jump out there, but definitely do it. Make a plan and do it. But then also while you're doing it, while you're within that, give yourself grace. be patient with yourself.
That's good.
It's not gonna always take off the way you want it to take off. It's not gonna
Yeah.
always be, flourishing like you want it to. You're going to have really, really rough moments. You really are. Every business owner does. You're going to have really tough moments,
Yeah.
but stick in there, hang in there, and just give yourself grace. And I think that that's something we forget about, but
Mm.
we're human. Everything is not going to just happen the way that we want it to happen all the time, but it will happen the way that it should happen.
Yeah, that's great. Giving yourself grace across the board, I feel,
Yeah.
is something we can honestly do. Like a little bit of mindfulness for a
Yeah.
lot of things, like if you drop something, oh, I'm so stupid, give yourself some grace. Hold on a second,
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
busy, it's
Exactly.
okay. Take a
Exactly.
breath. I'm guilty of that as well, and so that's a really good reminder. Is to give yourself some grace. Oh, there he is, Mr. Kobe. Oh my
I
God,
told
he
you.
looks so much like Quinn. Like he looks so much like her. Like we have to get them together. It would be
Yeah,
like,
you want to go meet Quinn?
yeah, you do. Yeah, that's your girlfriend.
Yeah, right. He probably will. He probably will make her his girlfriend.
Yeah. Aw, yeah. What a sweet baby. Oh, I love him already. He's so
I just want
cute.
attention. I
Yeah.
like attention.
He's like, okay. Yeah, Quinn would like if she's in here, she'll like come up here and growl right in my face.
Yeah.
Like shut up and snuggle me. She likes to
Snuggle me,
snuggle.
comfort me.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if Kobe does this, but she like we call it making a donut. She like curls into the tightest little ball that you've ever
Yes.
seen. It's
Kobe
like
does that.
your skin's gonna pop off. Like
It
how are
must
you?
that must be a pit
It's
bull
gotta
thing.
be.
It
Yeah.
must be a pit bull. And he likes to, when he wants to be rubbed, he'll come and just rub his entire side on my leg, like, hello, I'm here. Like, you see me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm here.
He's
So
not shy.
he's not at all. At all.
That's
He's a
hilarious.
big baby.
Yeah. Anything else? Like any final thing you want to the listeners to hear? We're gonna get to where they can find you, but anything that you want to that you think the listeners you'd like them to know about like your path or what inspires you or anything.
I think you hit on a lot of those things. But honestly, what inspires me is really the base of the phenomenal experience, and that is my family. Um, like I said, I've always been a part of the food culture,
Mhm.
and um the fondest memories I have is at my grandmother's house, and cooking with her and
Mhm.
family being congregated in the home with her.
Yeah.
I just noticed how people would just gravitate, family would just gravitate to her home,
Yeah.
to want to be around the kitchen when she's there, things like that. And that's kind of what the phenomenal experience was brought upon. Like, I
Mhm.
really wanted people to feel like they have a sense of home
Yeah.
when they're having a dining experience with me, or if I'm catering. I want them to feel like they're home with grandma, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those are some of my most fondest memories. She was like one of my very best friends,
No.
and yeah, it's a way for me to always connect with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a part of that is hospitality too, because when
Right.
you're being cared for by grandma, like,
Hmm.
there's a hospitality aspect of that too,
It
which I
is.
totally. So, okay, well, where can people find you and do you have anything that you want to promote?
Okay. So people can find me on Facebook, The Phenomenal Cooking Experience LLC. You can also follow my very public private page if you want to. And I'm Felisha Nicholson on Facebook as well. And then I'm on Instagram, Phenom 850 is where you can find me on Instagram, or Chef Fee Tally
Mhm.
as well. And I'm all over the place,
Yeah.
literally. You can find me at on my website, www.phenomenalcooking.com. I do cooking classes at Brown's Kitchen, as well as the prepared table, so you can catch some of the classes there. That's how Chef Nikki and
That's
I
where we met.
connected. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you could definitely attend one of my classes there. Um, yeah.
Yeah. The classes are always a lot of fun. Uh you it's I call it dinner and a show. You
Yes.
get to eat, have some food, you learn some stuff, you have some belly laughs, there's a lot of really great people that come to both locations. So like,
Exactly.
whether it's Browns or whether it's a prepared table, and people make friends and rub elbows and just have a good time. So it's like it's
Absolutely.
something out of the ordinary to do with your Tuesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Saturday.
It's not,
Um,
I feel like it's not your traditional cooking class. I feel like
hmm
both of those places, we make sure that you feel really, really special there and
Yeah.
comfortable, and you can ask questions
hmm
and just, enjoy all types of food. We make sure we feed you good so you
hmm
don't go home hungry.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll put all the links to where to find Chef Fee in the description so
Okay.
that you can so that the listeners can find you, book you,
Okay.
get that cookbook, book a class,
Yes.
follow Chef Fee's story, and she's just like a ray of sunshine. When
Oh,
I
thank
see the
you.
things that she posts and everything, like I'm always like, there she is, like,
Oh,
you
thank
know, mixing it up, baby, like just a little ray of sunshine. So you're definitely a bright spot
thank you
on
so
my doom
much.
scrolling. I'm like, and then
I
there's Fee, and
know,
it's
I
nice, and she's
know.
got food, and
These days, it helps to have
these,
those bright spots
yeah,
because let me tell you.
I know it. I know it. It's wild out in those streets. So
Yes,
we're doing the
yes,
best we can.
always, always.
Yeah. So I appreciate you coming on the pod, and
Thank you for having me.
oh, my pleasure. And hopefully we'll have you back on and with E at some point,
Yes,
and
yes.
we'll just talk about food. It's the best thing to
We
talk
should do
about.
like a couples thing. You should have your wife
Yes.
on, and then E can come on. We can have a couples discussion.
Yes. Yes, for sure. For sure. She's a little shy, but
That's okay. That's
you
okay.
know. So yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, I appreciate you. You're amazing, and I look forward to seeing all the things that you do and the wonderful energy you put out into the world. And so, hats off to you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm excited for all the things to come for you.
Thank you so much, Chef Nikki. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all the things that you do within the community, as well as you just for just being a talent, and you
Thank you.
are a light. So thank you so much for just
Thank you.
being you as well. We appreciate you just as much.
Thank you. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Thanks for listening, guys. I am teaching live stream cooking classes. You can go to chefnikki.net. That's Nikki with 2 Ks, and you can sign up. I've got some really great classes coming up. You can learn how to cook from the privacy of your own home. It's a cook along. You can ask questions. It's interactive. If you want to interact, you can. If you don't want to, you can shut your mic and your camera off, and you can just do what you got to do. But check it out if you wanted to learn some new skills. I'm teaching a free knife skills class this Saturday. It's full, but I will have some new classes coming up very soon. So check out the schedule. It's loads of fun, and I want to cook with you guys. So head to chefnikki.net and check it out. Also, you can buy my pro seasoning at chefnikki.net. Check out the footer on my website for local retail locations that sell pro seasoning. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Leave a comment down below and email me at nikkitalksfood@gmail.com if you have any questions or you have a topic or if you have a suggestion for somebody who would be a great guest. Thanks, guys.